Now, I'm sure most of you guys watching know exactly what's happened. FTX has collapsed. I'm sure most of you guys who are kind of up to date on Twitter and have been kind of reading the news know kind of what's happened. I thought today I'll just briefly go over some of the things that have happened, not in the most detail. There's plenty of threads and plenty of information online for you guys to read in more detail, but just briefly to kind of recap what's happened and kind of some of my thoughts coming after this as well. So to recap, FTX, it is the second largest, or it was the second largest exchange behind Binance. I think Coinbase is up there with them, and those three basically make up the top three. And essentially what's happened is they've had a liquidity crunch and they've basically collapsed. So how has this happened? Well, the story starts from quite a long while ago. Sam, the CEO of FTX, has been talking with regulators about crypto and basically trying to regulate the space a little bit. And one of the things that he did mention with these regulators is he probably talked a little bit down on Binance. And see, the CEO of Binance, CZ, was not really too happy with this. Now, Binance have some equity of FTX in the form of FTT tokens, the governance token for FTX. And they had about $1 billion or $2 billion, I can't remember exactly, of value in these tokens. And CZ went on Twitter to publicly say that he wasn't happy with the comments that Sam made and that he was going to dump Binance's FTT tokens. As a result, this caused a crash in the FTT token price. I'll tell you why that makes such a big difference. Now, the reason is because FTX is closely aligned with a VC called Alameda. In fact, you could probably call them the same, FTX and Alameda. Alameda is a VC fund, and essentially they borrowed money from FTX. FTX gave them lots of tokens in the form of FTT, billions of dollars worth, in fact. And that made FTT, the token, pretty illiquid. I mean, they had billions of dollars worth of this token, but there just wasn't the liquidity available for them to sell it. So what did they do? How can they extract value from that? Well, they borrow against it. And they borrowed billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of assets against these tokens that were really illiquid. A lot of the Solana ecosystem, they were able to they were able to prop this ecosystem up substantially, but they had all these illiquid tokens that they were holding. So they borrowed billions against it, and that way they were able to use some money or extract some value out of it. And when Binance announced that, or when CZ announced that Binance were going to dump these FTT tokens, well, as you can imagine, FTT dumped in price. As a result, that meant that Alameda were in trouble, and if Alameda were in trouble, FTX were in trouble. It caused a lot of people were worried on Twitter. A lot of people were worried, especially those who had their funds on FTX. And essentially this caused a bank run. Everyone kind of tried to withdraw their money from FTX as soon as possible, especially when the balance sheet for Alameda was leaked not too long ago. And everyone was able to see, how much of these illiquid assets they had and kind of how much debt they had as well. With all of this, around $5 billion worth of assets coming out of FTX, FTX had a bank run. And it was found that basically FTX were possibly using users' money to prop up Alameda. FTX is bankrupt to some extent. FTX.us, I believe, is okay, but FTX.com were doing some very, very shady things. And Binance, in fact, even reached out to FTX to try and come up with an agreement. They did form an initial agreement, but on the due diligence that they did, they found that the situation was a lot worse than expected and pulled out of the deal. As a result, so many users who have had their money on FTX have had them basically locked there. Withdrawals are not possible. Recently, they have let some users withdraw, so I don't know if you can withdraw at the moment. But they have been able to, and I've seen some users on Twitter, being able to withdraw. But the majority of people, lots of big influencers in the space, have got their money trapped on there. Some people with 7, 8, even 9 figures worth of assets just locked up there. FTX and Alameda, as you know, are also big backers of the Solana ecosystem, and as you can imagine, Solana and the various other Solana ecosystem tokens have taken a big hit. So yeah, it remains to be seen what will happen, but that's basically a brief summary of what's happened. Of course, may have missed a few things here and there, but essentially, FTX in big trouble. They, yeah, have collapsed. Now, some thoughts just coming out of this is just really just the impact again on users. We had this issue with Terra Luna. I was really affected with that. And this impact again on the users just really paints crypto in a bad light. It's not a good sight to see, especially with users again losing money. Ultimately, retail are the ones who are affected with this, and the people at the top, they will carry on living their lovely, comfy lives. Sadly, it's the users like you and I who are often affected. I think because of this and because of the events that have happened in this year, especially in crypto, it paints crypto in a really bad way. And I think this is going to be a regulator's field day. They're going to love what they've seen. And regulation is more than certainly going to come to crypto. I don't know in what form it will take place, whether it's stricter regulation for exchanges, whether it's stricter regulation for tokens, or whether it's for the DeFi space as a whole. Who knows, really? But I think one thing for sure, that regulators will be looking at the events. They worked very tightly with Sam, the CEO of FTX, and Sam would have been the first face or a familiar face for these regulators, and to see kind of what's happened there just means that anyone else in the space is screwed. I think regulators are coming, regulation is coming, and whether or not this is a good thing for crypto or DeFi remains to be seen, but I think it is coming, whether we like it or not. I think the second thing really is that, whilst all of this has happened, I think there still is an inherent need for crypto. I don't think crypto is going anywhere. I think crypto is here to stay. There's a lot of value in the cryptos that we have. I think we are slowly transitioning from this kind of meme related field to something with some value. There is some real yield in the space, and I think there are financial services and products that people will need. I think crypto, because of that, is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And I think a lot of people are saying things like, "Oh, crypto is going to zero." I personally disagree. I don't think it's not. I don't think that's possible. I think there's lots of good value here. There are lots of builders, and I think over the rest of the bear market, these builders will continue to build. We'll have new products, new innovations, new services, and I think in the future we'll look at the state of crypto today at around a 900 billion market cap, and we will probably see that in the multiples of trillions in the future. I don't know what's going to happen over the next year or so. Who knows? We might see another 30-50% drawdown from here. It's very possible. I think at this stage, with all the events that have happened in crypto, anything is possible. So it remains to be seen. But that's the second point, really. I think crypto is still here to stay. And lastly, the third point, and I think the point that I really want to make across the most, is the importance of DeFi. DeFi is here to stay. DeFi shows full transparency. Decentralized finance, in my opinion, is much better than centralized finance. The reason why this happened in the first place was because we couldn't see. No one knew what was going on behind the scenes at FTX and Alameda. No one knew the loans that they had. No one knew that they were using user funds, to prop up the system, to prop up Alameda, to pay back these loans. It's just not a good thing. Full transparency is needed for trust. I think DeFi is the only thing that offers that, and DeFi, protects users in that way. I think when you're able to see everything on chain, everything with full transparency, it's the best way. And I think again, we need to stop these centralized organizations who are running the show, completely running everything. Yeah, we need to stop them. It should be decentralized. Decentralized is the best way, and I think that's a big part of what crypto even stands for. So I think DeFi it just shows really the power of DeFi. Really, if FTX was a DeFi protocol, this wouldn't have happened because everyone would have known exactly what was going on. The funds would have been able to be seen. So yeah, those are the 3 points really. Crypto is here to stay. Regulators are coming, and DeFi shows its value and shows its importance. I think one last thing to show is also that I think this is a bad day for crypto as a whole, a terrible day actually. I think it's also not good for Binance either. A lot of people saying that Binance has this monopoly now. They've just basically kicked off one of their big rivals. Does that mean more market share for Binance? Yes, but I think it also will mean less revenue. There's going to be less people coming to crypto. When people read the news like FTX has collapsed, it's not a good sign. I don't think it gives trust to anyone really. So yeah, if you've got your funds, like I say always, not your keys, not your funds. So keep control of them. I've got videos on my channel about how to use a ledger device or hardware wallet, so use one of them. But I don't want to talk about that today. I'm sure you guys watching know the importance of it now anyway. That's all I've got for you today. Just a quick recap on what's happened and just some of my thoughts. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back with another video soon.